What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. We're a niche channel. Reserved for the best is super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at @6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. What up? What's good? What's happening? How y'all doing today, everybody? I'm back. I'm healthy. I feel good. I feel all right. I feel much better. It was bad, man. I was out, man, out for the count. But y'all know we do 3 shows a week, man, and we haven't been doing that for like 2 weeks now. So we back in the building. Original Origin, peace, salute, Corey Adger, yo, what's good? It's great to be back, man. What's good, Stu? What's going on with you, my man?
Original, what's up?
Big homie number 1. And oh man, but we got some great shit today. We got a great show. You know, there's a lot of cool comic stuff. There's a lot of cool news going on. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, and there's a lot of cool channel news as well. A lot of cool stuff happening for the channel. Holy hell, what's good, my man Slade in the house? It's yeah, but it's great, man. It's great to be feeling good again. Because it felt so bad, bro. It wasn't even, it was like I wanted to do the show so bad and I just couldn't, because I tried to come back and do it that other Saturday, and y'all might not have noticed, but like I was mad, out of breath, like shortness of breath. It was crazy, man, because that COVID is a respiratory disease, man. So you go to feeling that shit in your lungs, bro. It's scary. It's scary. But like I said, man, we got a lot of cool shit tonight to talk about. The dynamic duo, Reno and Stu in the building. We might have some interesting guests and friends and whatnot, and co-hosts and peoples stopping by and popping in tonight. I'm not even sure who's all coming, but like I said, where to begin, bro? I got a lot of cool shit, a lot of news. You know what's crazy? And we can just kind of get this out of the way, but Kanye West, as of 4 hours ago, this is new news, is missing, according to his former business manager. Like, this is just the next thing in the Kanye saga. It makes sense. I mean, this is what you would think would happen next at this point. Like, what else can he do besides at this point, what, disappear, go missing, kill somebody, God forbid, or whatever. But it's like that. Forget Waldo. Where's Kanye? At least that is what Ye's former business manager is asking. And it seems that he has been in hiding since businessman Thomas St. John has been trying to serve him with legal documents. According to reports, St. John said in a court hearing, he has not been able to find the producer turned rapper since turned fashion designer turned psycho for weeks, and as he sues him for breaching contract, St. John claims Kanye West had agreed to pay him a monthly retainer, but since the two had an aggressive meeting, West stopped paying him. Previously, to the aforementioned meeting, the two enjoyed a good working relationship, with the Jesus Walks rapper asking him to be the chief financial officer of Donda, one of his businesses. And with this new position, St. John was to be paid a monthly retainer fee of $300,000. Can you imagine? $300,000 a month. And that's what Kanye's paying this dude. So, gives you, but I guess he didn't really pay him that. He said, I think this is his lawyers. The lawsuit reads, St. John needed a guarantee that West wouldn't abruptly abandon the commercial relationship, in addition to the financial costs and hazards associated with committing to West as a client. But Mr. St. John offered to settle for a contract lasting 18 months The lawsuit read. However, with Kanye's recent money troubles, is anyone shocked? I don't think so. This is not, with everything that he's been losing from reported what he's had to pay to his ex-wife after they finalized their divorce recently, and he's having problems with funding renovations to his Malibu property. Financial woes for the Chicago native came only months after he severed relationships with Gap and Adidas. Ye went from 6.6 billion to maybe 400 million, which by no stretch of the imagination is broke or poor. I mean, the dude's still ridiculously rich. I don't care who you talk to, 400 million bucks ain't nothing to sneeze at. But the decline centered around the controversial anti-black and anti-Semitic comments and other erratic behavior and swastika symbols and all kinds of this. But Ye's business manager's inability to find him is similar to the issues his former lawyers are having. And Greenberg Trarig has been trying to withdraw as Ye's counsel, but they've been
Mm.
struggling to locate Kanye West and wanted to serve him with the notice via text message. But the post Kanye West is missing, according to former business manager, first appeared on All Hip Hop, the site All Hip Hop. So, but yeah, that was just, I thought, a natural succession to what's been going on. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's not really that surprising.
No, it's not. It really isn't. I mean, he's done so much and said so much. It's like, he's probably, I don't know. His mind is probably shooting 1,000 different directions right
Yeah,
now.
that's right. Yeah, so you never know. But in hip hop, in the hip hop space, um Ghostface, my favorite MC of all time. Not because I think he's the best to ever do it. He's just my favorite, so y'all can chill. But Ghostface Killer sets the record straight on the speculated Raekwon beef in a recent joint podcast joint. The Hulu's Wu-Tang, an American Saga, first debuted in 2019. Actually, I couldn't believe it came. Yeah, it came out before the pandemic because I remember where I was. The dramatized origin story of the Wu-Tang Clan, and it stars Ashton Sanders as RZA, Sadiq Saunderson as Ghostface Killer, and Shamik Moore as Raekwon. And the show currently gearing up for its third and unfortunately final season in February. But ahead of its premiere, Ghostface has commented on one of its most shocking story arcs. That I think most people were like, "What? Did that really happen? Did Raekwon shoot up Ghostface's house and all of this?" But for those who have not yet seen the show, Ghostface and Raekwon's characters are depicted as deadly adversaries when they first meet. And in the first season, Raekwon even, like I said, participates in a drive-by, shoots up Ghost's house, bullet holes flying through the windows. He's got two brothers with muscular dystrophy, killed me. Y'all already know. And so they was
Yeah.
hitting the ground, wheelchairs falling over. It was terrible. But since Ray and Ghost famously teamed up, for one of the most celebrated and I think one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time, no question, the Purple Tape, only built for Cuban links. Many, casual fans couldn't believe that they were originally mortal enemies, but according to one of Ghostface Killer, fans were right to be skeptical, because Ghostface Killer denies ever having beef with Raekwon. In a recent interview on the outside of it's called Outside with Gorilla Nims, is the podcast. Check that out. It's dope. Ghostface Killer denied the validity of the show's depiction of his beef with his, only built for Cuban links collaborator Ray. But when asked how they were able to work so closely together after beefing, shooting each other's cribs up, Ghost obviously denied ever having that beef. He said, "Me and Ray never had beef. That's what I told you." Ghostface, he said, "Yeah, me and Ray never had no problems. It was the way them characters got switched around. It's TV." He said, "I don't laugh about that shit because it ain't my story. Ghostface continued. He said, "But Ray, my bro, I love him. We just had great chemistry. We had chemistry. Like he taught me a lot of shit, and we never had beef." In an exclusive 2013 interview way back with HNHH, Raekwon admitted that there was beef and tension within the Wu from the beginning. In a 2021 interview with Vlad TV, Raekwon confirmed Ghost was beefing with one of his friends, one of his, one of his, associates. And that tension eventually led to Ghost's home getting shot up by those people. But and I read Raekwon's book as well, and in that book, he breaks that shit down too. So, but I don't know. Do you guys think that Ghost is being completely honest? Do you think that Ray might have
Yeah,
been involved a little bit, or it was just his
no, I believe
homeboy?
it.
Like he says,
I believe it, Reno. I believe it. Cause I remember I watched the interview where RZA said that when they first, if you had beef on the streets, you couldn't bring that in RZA's studio. Like all that had to be left at the
right,
door. And then they were asking about Ghost and Ray. And he said, out of everybody in the clan, them two hit it off the best. Like he was like, once they knew they was getting on, they was doing the record, they was forming a group. He said
right,
every time you turned around, them two was together.
right.
Like he was like, yeah, he was like, yo, he said we was just shocked at how hard, because he said they both kind of like they opposites of each other, but they click
But
real well.
it's like
Like
that
they
chemistry.
styles, like and he
Mhm,
said they just had
mhm.
chemistry from day one. Like he was
Right,
like, we be over here, like 7 members, and then the other two,
right.
Ghost and Ray, over there by themselves, just kicking it in the corner. And so he
Hmm.
said, he said they always been like that from day
Yeah,
one when they met. And
yeah,
so he was just, that's why I could never believe, those stories. The story I do believe is when Ghost said he got into a shootout with the Delphonics. He had the Delphonics in
yeah.
the van. He had the Delphonics in the van going to the studio. I believe that story. Now,
You
that
know that
story
was
I
true.
believe.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. He said he was in the van and he had the Delphonics. They had did the show with him and they were in the van with him. And I guess he was driving. I don't know if he was driving or he's in the front seat, but the Delphonics was
He
in
was
the
in the
van
front.
with
They
him.
were going to the studio to
And
do a
he
song.
and Ghost had his issues with whoever he had issues with, and they was busting at each other, had a whole shootout in the whole nine with the Delphonics in the van. And the funny shit was when he got back in the van, he said one of the old dudes was like, "I got my knife." He said something. He said, "I got my knife. Don't even worry." He pulled out his pocket knife. Old head pulled out his pocket knife. Yo, that shit was funny as fuck.
Now that I believe. I believe Ghost got
Hundred
into a
percent.
shit, had Delphonics in the van.
Hundred
But
percent.
him and Ray, nah. RZA said him and Ray was the two that hit it off the hardest. Cause I know you got and Meth are real tight, but they live together. I never knew that either. That you
Right.
got and Meth, they live. That's why you always see them beefing. But Meth was like,
And they used to
when you
hustle
see me and
together.
you got, right? He said, when you see me and you got, he said, me and you got, we live together. Like we've been together since forever. Like we
Mm-hmm.
live together. He said like we did it all. He said we hustled together, lived together. I think
Yeah.
he named somebody named one of their kids after one of the other. And then you got when you got
Yeah.
son got killed or something like that. Meth was like, nah. He said you got that's my man right there.
Yeah.
Because he was saying you guys was saying when they came with that when you hear on the first time they talk about torture and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He said you guys said we made that up. He said that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
me, Meth.
That was
He
their
said when they
game.
was
Torture was
yeah,
the
he said when they was out there hustling, they used to play that game, talking about torturing each other. He said that also when they did Woo Wear, he said they couldn't get it right. He said we was trying to get it right, get somebody on it to sound good. And he
mm-hmm.
said, you guys said it was me that came with the idea to put Capadonna on it. He was like, I was like, man, go get
Mm-hmm.
Cap. Go
Yeah,
get
Cap,
Cap. And he
Cap,
said
he's a fashion dude.
they went around. Yeah. He said, and Cap said at the time he was working a security gig. He said
Yeah.
he was working a security gig. And he said he came around there. He said he dropped the joint and left. And they was like, yo, this joint hot. Cause to them, Capadonna is like, he like a rap god to them.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
like a
believe it
hood
or not.
star. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
he
a
a hood star, yeah.
their celebrity, yeah. Right.
For them, yeah.
Mhm.
They look to him, they look up all of them look at Cap as being like, It's like being like the best MC.
Yeah. Yeah, I think original origin. I was just seeing his comment. He said, "Ye gonna fake his death next." Probably that's probably what's coming. Something
That's
like
probably
that.
what's coming. Yeah, they will
Yeah.
probably get that next.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you got mad Wu stories. Like I said, I learned a lot. I learned a lot more about them on Drink Champs. A lot of stuff they talked about on
Yeah.
Drink
Yeah.
Champs I didn't know. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, they go in on Drink Champs.
yeah, they
Um,
go all in.
yeah, man. Uh Star Wars is about to be lit, bro. I'm so happy with what's going on in Star Wars right now. I just want to
That
chop
make
that up.
two of us, brother.
Yeah,
That
man,
make
because we
two of
got
us.
Mando 3 is about to drop, but we already talking about Mando 4. We got a little sneak peek to one of the storyboards or one of the scene like scripts layouts for a scene in Mando season 4 where they have Luke Skywalker's there and he's working on his lightsaber. This is young Luke, not young Luke. This is master badass fucking god, Luke. He's working on his lightsaber and he hears the voice of his father, Anakin. And he hears the voice and then Anakin appears as a force ghost. But this time there's like blue orbs around him. And they say that in this scene, they're going to, for the first time, we're going to actually kind of see how a force ghost materializes. They're gonna do some more science on Force Ghosts. That's one thing. And then when Anakin like appears, they have apparently a 5 minute scene, which is a long scene in a 30-minute show, of them talking about the Force, about the dark side, because obviously Anakin has been Darth Vader. He knows all about the dark side, the light side. I mean, they go in and it's just this really dope conversation that is going to be epic. I can't wait to see it. But that's not until season 4. Season 3 though is about to drop in February, which is going to be crazy. And there's like 4 Star Wars games coming up that we're super excited for. May is basically Star Wars month, right? May the 4th. And Star Wars Day was May 15th, I think. But this week, well, it's not this week. The franchise's creator, George Lucas, is having his 79th birthday, I think, this year. But then at the end of the month, Ewan McGregor will return to promote a new game. And we know the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, that's one game is been like um they keep delaying that shit indefinitely. But then there's Star Wars Eclipse that's coming out. That's some be developed by a French developer, Quantic Dream. Um Something for PlayStation, I think. And it's the same developer behind like PlayStation exclusives like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. Um, PlayStation 3, they did Detroit Become Human. That's that studio. So it's dope. And that's going to be more of like a story based thing. Star Wars Eclipse, and then there's Skydance Media has a Star Wars game coming out that I'm just now hearing about um, through Naughty Dog, I think. And then obviously the Jedi Fallen Order sequel um, is the big one that I think everybody's really excited about. But it's a lot of shit, man. It's just a lot of Star Wars stuff coming up, man.
It's about
Including
that time, man. It's about
yeah,
that
yeah,
time that we had some good Star Wars
and
stuff.
the Ahsoka show. That's another one.
I'm excited. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, and it is. You're right. It's about time because there's been such a long gap between anything good. But I was talking about this to somebody. I think it was you actually. But if you know I know a lot of fans, like myself even, we're not upset, but like kind of like disappointed or maybe a little afraid when we heard Disney was buying Star Wars and Marvel. And we were a little worried about that because it's Disney, and we don't want to Disney-fy Star Wars. It's already on the border of being for kids and kind of, like, so we were really worried about that and everything. And we got a lot of crap from Disney. But I will say that it's possible we have gotten a lot more content and good content than we would have gotten if Disney never bought it, if it was just George Lucas, because we know how long it took George Lucas to come out with those prequels and how long
But
it would have been for him to come out with the sequels. And
in his
so,
defense,
no,
it
go
might have
ahead.
been long, but it wasn't as bad as the shit. It wasn't as bad as some of the stuff we got from
That's what I was getting ready to
Disney.
say. We
So I'll
wouldn't have
take
gotten,
quality over quantity any day.
yeah, and there, that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of quantity and not a lot of quality right now. But if we look back at, like, I want to say Rogue One, obviously Andor, obviously the Mandalorian show, Bad Batch, um, Rebels. I'm trying to think of what all has come since Disney bought it. It's been a lot that's been really great content that George Lucas would have never given us. All we would have ever gotten from George is another trilogy of movies, which could have been, I'm going to keep it a buck, could have been hit or miss. You never know with George, because we
I
were
think
not
it would have been
exactly
better.
impressed when the prequels came out. We were not that happy. We were kind of like, what the fuck? It took a long time for us to kind of learn to appreciate the prequels. And now they're favorites. Now they're classics. We love them. My third favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So, but that wasn't exactly how it first happened. And, you know, you just never really know with George where he was going to go. So it kind of is beneficial to have a fan like Dave Filoni or John Favreau, real fans of the content, not the Lucasfilm, not the Kathleen Kennedys, not the people who've been giving us this crap, but the ones that are the real fans of Star Wars, and they see Star Wars from the perspective of the fans, not from the perspective of George Lucas, right? George is going to see Star Wars in a very different way than any fan sees it. We might feel a certain way about Star Wars and we might get a certain vibe that might be completely different from what George feels about it or what he even intended. But what's important is we are the fans and it's what we love about it, and that's what matters. And so having a fan create content is very beneficial. And I'm very excited about what is coming down the pike, because I think George Lucas is coming back into the fold a little more, and having John Favreau and Dave Filoni and these really go-getter types at the helm, because George is he's not a super motivated dude. He's very laid back. He's done everything. He doesn't need to do anything. He's rich. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to, there's no pressure. He's not hungry. There's not, so that's why shit takes so long and it doesn't, and then it's all convoluted. But you get a guy that, like Dave Filoni, who's hungry, young, wants to make a name. He's motivated. He loves this content. He can't believe he's got the rights to do it. And that's what I'm very excited about right now. That we have coming down the pipe, man, because and like I said, a new Star Wars rumor teases some more shit about Ahsoka. Mary Elizabeth Winstead's having a major role in the show. That's the girl, that's the woman who voiced Ahsoka in all the iterations that we've ever seen Ahsoka in, besides Rosario Dawson. Um, you know, Clone Wars, all that stuff. So she's the voice of it. A lot of fans wanted her to play the character. Unfortunately, she's very Caucasian, and Ahsoka's not. And Rosario Dawson fits I think the color scheme better for her character. So it just makes more sense. But um it's wait, where is that? But yeah, I think she'll be dope in that. And but I don't know what she's gonna do in it. I just know that she is going to be in it. We just don't really know exactly, in what capacity, exactly what she'll be doing and stuff like that. But um there's something too about the world between worlds too. Weren't you telling me that? You were telling me something about the world between worlds. But but a new report claims to reveal who Ray Stevenson, who the guy from Punisher Warzone and Rome and shit like that, and Ivana Shanko will portray in the Ahsoka series, which is exciting because I like Ray Stevenson. I think he was the best Punisher that we ever had. But according to making Star
Oh,
Wars, yeah, yeah, like you know what? Who the only other dude that I think played a better Punisher is John Barenthal, but um
mm.
you didn't like him too much, I know, but we
No, I liked it, man. I just didn't like.
you didn't like what they gave
It
us.
wasn't violent. It just wasn't
Wasn't
violent.
violent
That's
enough.
it.
Right, right.
Wasn't
Well,
violent.
Warzone
And then
was mad violent, and that's Ray
yes, it
Stevens.
was.
That's Ray
It
Stevenson. He was
was.
dope. But
Yeah.
but Stevenson's gonna play a character named Balon in Ahsoka, and Balon supposedly works for Thrawn, which we're very excited is going to also be in the Ahsoka show. Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's the blue guy who was you would have seen him in Rebels, and the last we saw of him and the star of Rebels, Ezra, were floating off into space, and we don't know what happened to them. So, but both Ezra and
Yeah.
Thrawn will appear in live action in the Ahsoka show, and then
Yeah.
but
Because they
but
said from what I heard on the digital streets was
mhm,
that they're gonna one of the plot points is gonna be what happened in the World Between Worlds episode,
yeah,
where Ahsoka saw the future and then Ezra saved her because she tried to go to the past and
mhm,
change it, and he saved her and explained to her they're gonna explain to her here in this show that no matter what she did or what she does in it, he's gonna become Darth Vader no matter what.
right,
It's just that
and then
that
yeah,
the
she
path
wanted
that
to
was
save
taken,
Anakin,
right, and they and Ezra's gonna have to explain to her that the path that was taken for him to become Darth Vader, because somehow Ezra, from what I understand, Ezra saw all of the different
yeah,
iterations that could have happened, and like
he looked
sort of
into
like
the
Doctor
world between
Strange,
worlds. He
right,
looked into
sort
the
of like
portal.
Doctor Strange did in Endgame. Like
Yeah,
he was
right,
just like, look, like this is the best path. If you do it any other way, too many people die. So
right,
and somebody's
but
always
it
gonna die, but
yeah, it's
he's going
still
to
gonna
become Vader no matter what. And he
mhm,
saved her life. And he saved
mhm,
her life and one. He was like, look, I saved your life for a reason. It had to happen that way. But that's the word on the street. We're gonna see how it
yeah,
plays out.
yeah,
But I was in them digital streets
yeah.
poking around,
Oh,
seeing what
yeah.
I could find.
That's what we gotta do. But Balon, like I said, Ray Stevenson, Balon supposedly works for Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is himself reportedly gonna be in live action. And I think it's gonna be his Star Wars Rebels voice actor Lars Mikkelsen to play him, which would be really cool. But Stevenson's Balon is described as a former Jedi who survived Order 66 before fleeing to the New Beyond, where Ahsoka reportedly the show takes place in the New Beyond. And Balon, the Jedi, apparently tried to maintain his Jedi lifestyle, but was corrupted over time and embraces the dark side of the Force, possibly due to the influence of the Night Sisters. And sometime around the events of Return of the Jedi, Balon took on an apprentice, and this brings
Mm,
us to Seikno, and who reportedly plays Shin. Shin is Balon's apprentice and assassin who, making Star Wars speculates, might be a former Night Sister herself. And this is all very dope to me, like, because this is all that dark side Sith, aspect that we never get in the live action stuff barely. And so this is dope that Stevenson is playing this sort of Sith guy, this dark Jedi, and there's this apprentice named Shin. Because in George Lucas's treatment for his sequel trilogy that we never got,
mm,
there was a character like Shin or like a Saz Ventress or like a female Sith that was going to be the big bad, and Darth Maul was going to be like this g- you know, warlord,
puppet
and
master.
all these warlords and shit going on. So, but we might be sort of getting some of that, and that's what I love about Filoni, because he'll take shit from like Legends and sneak it in, and he'll take shit from George Lucas's original script and sneak it in. Where Lucasfilm and Disney, they don't really know. They think it's Filoni coming up with these shits, but it's just him giving us what we want, and that's what we love about him. But Shin is described as being cold and calculated and desperate to prove herself to her master Balon, and due to her and Balon's association with Grand Admiral Thrawn, Shin is apparently tasked with killing Ahsoka, um, potentially setting up a larger conflict between Ahsoka and Balon himself if she can't get the job done. Um, and Ahsoka has fought, Asajj Ventress and lived to tell about it, so she can definitely get with him. But Lucasfilm's next live action Disney Plus series set within the Star Wars universe, Ahsoka is expected to premiere on the platform sometime 2023. Um, didn't get an exact date yet, but the series serves as both a spin-off of The Mandalorian and a sequel to the Rebels
Mm.
animated show. It's both. The latter of which saw Ashley Eckstein, the voice of Ahsoka. I'm sorry, is the voice Ashley Eckstein. What did I say her name was earlier? But anyway, as shown in The Mandalorian season 2, Ahsoka is still hunting down the villainous Admiral Thrawn following the events of Rebels. If you go watch the finale of Rebels, and you'll see exactly where Ahsoka's about to pick up. And you'll see Admiral Thrawn and the Padawan Ezra are being transported through hyperspace to parts unknown. Hence, Ahsoka's reported setting of the New Beyond, which is described as a new region in the Star Wars universe, not previously explored in any existing projects so far. So it's a new part of the galaxy. Um, and in addition to Mickelson reprising his role as Thrawn in live action, Iman Esfandi will reportedly take over the role of Ezra in Ahsoka. And so you can look him up, Iman Esfandi. Similarly, Natasha Lou Bordizzo is confirmed to take the role of Sabine Wren. So actual more characters from Rebels will be over in Ahsoka. Also, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who was cast in Ahsoka earlier this year, will reportedly take over the role of um, Hera. You know Hera, she's the Twi'lek from Rebels. Um,
Right.
and and she was in Bad Batch, and the video game Star Wars Squadrons as well, by Vanessa Marshall. But and then rounding out the cast is Hayden Christensen, who reprises his role as Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader from the Star Wars prequel trilogy and Disney Plus Obi-Wan, blah 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 blah. But so Ahsoka promises to be every bit as dope, as big, as amazing, as great as both Mandalorian and Andor. So, like like I said, a lot of great stuff coming for the wars. Um and earlier Disney held their CCXP panel, which featured contributions from a number of Disney studios, including Lucasfilm. And the biggest piece of Star Wars news to come out of the event was the release date of Mandalorian season 3, which will be March 1st. So not that long, 2 months basically, about 2 months, and we'll get March 3. However,
I wish they'd have stayed on the schedule of January, December.
I
That
know,
was a great. That was a better schedule for us, man. We'll
I
take
know.
it.
But Disney and Lucasfilm have treated those in attendance to never before seen footage of that upcoming third season. And the word being used in relation to what was shown is the footage. But from what I can gather, the footage sort of played like a trailer. And it begins with Din Djarin and Grogu venturing to Mandalore in an attempt to regain Din's honor after he removed his helmet during the second season. So Bo-Katan Kryze is up there atop of her throne of Mandalore, angered and frustrated as she thinks of the dark saber, which Din Djarin is now the owner of. And there's glimpses of Grief Karga, and Pelimoto, a scrapped star destroyer, as well as a planet that looks very much like Coruscant. Though it could be Hosnane Prime or Mandalore itself. I think it might be Mandalore, but several action scenes play out, including Din Djarin running away from TIE fighters. And the footage ends with Grogu reaching out using the Force against a large beast of some sort, big monster. But the appearance of Coruscant, if it is a surprise. Um, and I'm eager to see the footage myself, obviously, to confirm if it's Coruscant or Mandalore. But um, the second piece of information that sticks out is Grogu is using the Force against some sort of monster. All right. Earlier this year, Making Star Wars reported that a mythosaur would appear in the season on Mandalore, and our heroes would have to fight the beast. So I'm wondering if the footage of Grogu facing off against a monster is actually facing off with the mythosaur. And so that's basically what I've gleaned from what I've heard of that footage. So very cool, man. Very interesting. Hopefully, it's everything that we dreamed it should be. You seen have you seen the Avatar 2
Yes, I
yet?
have.
You have? What'd
Yes,
you
I
think?
have.
All 3 hours of it? What'd you think?
Yes, 3 hours and 41 minutes. Yes, sir.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
What'd you see, an extended version?
It's long. It's like 3 hours. Yeah, I think it's like 340. Hold on.
I thought it was just 3 hours. Let me see. It's 192 minutes.
312. 312. 312.
Yeah, 192 minutes. Yep. But yeah, so no, I didn't see it myself yet all the
I
way
saw it. It
because
was I'm gonna say this. If you are an Avatar fan, you will be thoroughly pleased
right.
at what they did. You'll be thoroughly pleased at the CGI. You'll be thoroughly pleased about the whole thing, the story and everything.
Mhm.
If you're a
Mhm.
casual moviegoer, you will be thoroughly entertained.
Right.
It is definitely worth a trip to the movies. All 3 hours and 12 minutes. Um, it is definitely worth a bucket of popcorn. It's definitely worth the price, man. If you can catch a matinee or a cheap movie night to go and see it, go see it, man. If you're balling on a budget, but if not, it does deserve a watch in the movies. You got to see that in the theaters, and then enjoy it again when it comes home on video. Um, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I like what they did with the characters. I like the way they moved on with the story because a lot of times you'll get a sequel and they kind of still dwelling a little bit. They're trying to. It'll be a different movie, but the same as the first
Right.
movie. This was completely different. It showed progression. It showed progression in the characters,
Yeah.
the world that they live in. It showed you other species of the Navi that live on that world. I mean, it was great, man. It was great. Got to see it. Got to check it out. I give it a 5 out of 5, a 10 out of 10. It's good.
Okay.
Good.
Sounds nice. What's going on, Marshall Warpath?
Pick up the
He
phone.
said,
Listen to what
"Pick
I
up the
drop off.
phone, listening while I drop
Yeah.
off a comic package." I don't know what's that what that's about, but let me know. Um yeah. But so I didn't see it the whole thing because the version of it I had was a TS. It wasn't the image wasn't that great. It's kind of bootleg, and I wanted to wait for a better copy or just go to the theater and see it. But I've been sick, so I didn't do it yet. But from what I did see, I think I watched maybe 30 minutes of it. It's it's definitely more of Avatar. It's basically if you love, it's more of the same, but in a and they definitely like you know, the story obviously is progressed quite a bit, and there's all kinds of stuff going on, but it's visually the same thing with water, and a lot of cool like water aliens. I never took them. A lot of cool water aliens that I saw, which is like some cool like alien whales and shit like that was cool. But what I noticed is that there's a lot less gun violence in this one. Because James Cameron said that he actually cut 10 minutes of gun violence from the movie because he doesn't want to fetishize guns anymore. Um, and he feels he feels differently about showcasing gun violence in his movies compared to his earlier career. In fact, he said, you know, he took out a lot of it. 10 minutes is quite a bit of footage. And he
Mm.
said, "I wanted to get rid of some of the ugliness to find a balance between light and dark." He said, "That's not to say The Way of Water is gun free. There's still a lot of gun violence that in some instances leads to horrific results, but Cameron says it's necessary to build up the drama." He said, "You have to have conflict, of course. Violence and action are the same thing, depending on how you look at it." He said, "This is the dilemma of every action filmmaker, and I'm known as an action filmmaker." You know, because he's responsible for gun-toting action classics such as the Terminator 2, and Aliens, and all that good shit. But now looking back at it, 68 years old, he admitted that he feels differently about those movies. He said, "I look back on some of the films I've made, and I don't know if I would want to make that film now." He said, "I don't know if I would want to fetishize the gun like I did in a couple of Terminator movies 30 years ago in our current world. What's happening with guns in our society turns my stomach." End quote. He said, "I'm happy to be living in New Zealand, where they just banned all assault rifles 2 weeks after that horrific mosque shooting a couple of years ago." Um, his new attitude toward guns in his action movies could possibly impact the Terminator franchise if he has his way. He would ruin those movies. Uh, he said on the Smartless podcast, he said that if the franchise went forward under his watch, he would make it much more about the AI side of it than bad robots gone crazy. And
Which would be appropriate, you know, because
sure,
I mean, think about it. Every Terminator movie after he did it kind of really wasn't that good, except for the last one they did. That was like the best one they did.
I like
But
Salvation.
like he said, Salvation was good. But like he
Like,
said, you gotta progress the story. I mean, it really always was about the AI.
yeah,
You know, it was always
it
about
was
Cyberdyne.
Skynet.
It always
Yeah,
was Skynet. It was
yeah,
always about Skynet, and
yeah.
nobody after that. But that's like I said earlier. It'd be a different movie, but with the same plot from the first movie. This Avatar movie wasn't like that. It actually progressed. Like it showed, it basically showed their whatever their actions from the first movie, how it affected them in this next movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't rehash anything from the first film. So it was like, look, we did this in the first movie. They did this. They did this. They did that. This is what happened after that. You know, because you always want to know what happened after, and that's
That's why I
exactly
love
what this
that's
movie
why I
did.
love Salvation, because it told us
Yes.
what I mean, yeah, what happened in the future. Like it gave us all that shit that we heard about in the Terminator. That's like why I like certain shit about Legends and Star Wars, like stuff that we hear about in the movie that you want to learn more about. That's what I like when they give us that shit. That's what I like about Salvation. Because I always wanted to see that future world where John Connor was this, you know, general, and you know,
Everybody asks for that, but they won't give it to us.
they
Everybody asked for when Terminator came out after
Salvation.
the first two. Everybody was like, "Yeah, we want to know what happened in the future. You can take us to the future now." And then we
Yeah.
got Terminator 3, and then we got Salvation,
Yeah, it was
and
just
then
and
we and
3
then
was
they should
just
have kept on. Right, they
3
should have
was
kept
just
with the Salvation. Yeah,
3 was good because 3 gave you it gave us that transition, and we got to see all the missiles launch at the end and, like, okay, Judgment Day's happening, there's nothing they can do about it. No matter what they tried, it was written, it was gonna happen, and it brought us into that, and then salvation came. I I liked it up to that point, and then there was all this weird shit, with these other ones. Who we got in the building? Who just came in? Sever. What's up, Sever? I can hear you. I can see you in here, but I can't hear you. Your mic is muted, bro. Um, but yeah, Sever's here. But yeah. So Cameron said he said on the Smartless podcast during Monday's episode something about re doing the franchise, but about another Terminator movie, but would want to pivot from the cybernetic killing machines seen throughout the series so far and focus more on artificial intelligence, which I think he means no Terminators, like just talking about the systems and the humans involved. He said if I were to do another Terminator film and maybe try to launch that franchise again, which is in discussion but nothing's been decided, I would make it much more about the AI side of it than Bad Robots Gone Crazy. He didn't specify whether he would want to do a direct future installment. His comments come on the heels of the rising popularity of ChatGPT, an AI chatbot from the company OpenAI. But Cameron returned to the franchise for the first time since the early 90s, Judgment Day, in 2019 with Dark Fate,
that
which
was
he
dope.
produced. Yeah,
Dark
which he
Fate was
produced.
dope.
It was good and
That was the best one
conceived
since
the story
Terminator,
for
since Terminator 2.
because that was Cameron, right? And
The action was hot, bro.
it was
Love that movie.
directed by Tim Miller, who did Deadpool, and reunited, the original stars, Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and all of that. I keep trying to let Sever in. What's up, Sever? I think we can hear you.
See, it
But
says just audio only.
I don't know, man. Turn your camera on, bro. In 2019, Cameron told Deadline that Dark Fate could be the beginning of a new Terminator trilogy if it performed well enough at the box office, which it didn't do. But he said, we rolled up our sleeves and started to break out the story, and we got a handle on something we looked at, as a 3-film arc. So there is a greater story to be told. He said, if we get fortunate enough to make some money with Dark Fate, we know exactly where we can go with subsequent films. But it flopped, despite more favorable critic reviews than other recent entries in the franchise. It made 261 million globally, including just 62 million here in the U.S. Off a $185 million production budget. So very bad. But the
Yeah.
franchise, yeah, it's had a rocky road in theaters for a long time now.
But you know what, Terminator did it to itself. Um, it was all over the place, and people were tired of it. People were tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. Like they never
Mhm,
progressed the story. It's always a Terminator chasing John. Every
mhm.
movie is a Terminator chasing John. Terminator
Yeah,
chasing John.
it's like,
And
okay,
not only is it a Terminator chasing John, but we never got to see Judgment Day until that third movie, and even then, we really didn't get to see it. It was the end. It ended the movie. Judgment
yeah,
Day ended the movie, and then when
right,
Salvation was just like years later, and you're like, huh? And then
yeah.
they showed a young Connor, a young John Connor. And then every
Christian
time they
Bale.
show him, right, and when they show him, he's never he's never in charge. He's
He's
never
never like
doing the
a
thing.
gritty old
He's never
commander.
like a gritty
Yeah,
general doing
where's
the
the
damn thing.
right?
That's what we want to see. Like,
Because
and
even in
so
Salvation, he wasn't the boss. He wasn't. They
no, he
but
wasn't.
he
No,
becomes he
he
becomes
becomes
the
the
boss
boss.
at the end of it. So again, man, where they went with Dark Fate was kind of cool, but I think Dark Fate was more of the same. I want to see more of Salvation. Let's progress that story. Let's see where that goes. Let's keep it moving. Like because Dark Fate brought it back to Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton, which okay,
Right?
if you want to
People were
juxtapose
tired of
between
it.
them
People
and
were
Salvation,
tired of it.
but yeah, because
Yeah.
2009 Salvation came out, which starred Sam Worthington, which he was famous from Avatar, and that earned 371 million, and cost 200 million. So it made 170 million dollars. So that was decent. And then 2015, Terminator Genesis, which everybody hated, did actually 440 million globally, but still that was still a bomb considering, what it cost to
Because
make.
Genesis was the movie, and I always say Hollywood isn't that smart. When you came out with Genesis, you still had somebody. People still interested in Terminator. If you would have bought out Dark Fate instead of Genesis and put it in that slot, you would have made
Yeah.
more money and people would have still been interested. And then you could have came out. But to do a movie where John Connor is now a Terminator and it doesn't make sense. Like the timeline
Well,
just don't. We tired of the time travel. Go to the
see
future, stay in the future, and keep it there.
see what everybody forgot and what happened with Terminator is part 2 came out. T2 was this big fucking thing, and you had the liquid metal guy, and it was huge, and it was this big event, right? A huge blockbuster. But the original Terminator was a horror film.
Yeah,
Stephen King
the
was
B movie.
involved with writing it.
Yeah,
So none of the 4 films that followed Judgment Day received its critical acclaim or box office returns, but even worse, fans of the franchise slowly turned away from it and let down by the increasingly diminishing returns. And Cameron recently revealed, obviously plans to reboot the franchise, but he needs to bring it back to its horror roots that run throughout the first film, because the genius of the first Terminator is that it's a horror film with science fiction bent, right? An
right.
unstoppable inhuman force chasing down a young girl and murdering everything in its path. And the scariest fucking scene is when he tells her it's not gonna stop. It can't be reasoned with. You can't talk to it. You can't persuade it. You can't bribe it. It will not stop until you are dead. You can't kill it. You can't do anything to it. These weapons you have, nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that was
Won't even
fucking
put a dent
scary,
in it.
bro.
Yeah, right. He's like the stuff I
Word,
got here won't even put a dent in it. But
word, and
that's you're right. That is the genius. But also, I get what James Cameron is saying about making it more about the AI because
oh
every
yeah,
movie is always about the Terminator.
you can do that and keep it horror and
Right.
AI. That'd be great.
Like look at 2001, Space Odyssey,
Yeah,
when you had and when you had Hal, and then you had the astronauts, and Hal
hmm
was kind of secretly taking over, pushing
yeah,
people out of airlocks,
doing some
things
sly
like that.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah, on some real sly shit. So like,
mhm,
you could. It's a lot they could have did. But they should have took this. They should have took the story to the future, and they never did. It stayed in the
yeah.
past, and we were always chasing John Connor, and that just made it not good.
Well, plenty of horror films in the 80s, like, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th have put their own spin on the trope, and reap the rewards. Cameron took it a step further, making his monster a machine wrapped in flesh. The imposing presence of Arnold Schwarzenegger only adds to that terror, and he's wearing the gargoyle shades and shit. But what really sells it home is Schwarzenegger's performance. He doesn't talk. He throws himself into the cold, unfeeling role of a machine, speaking when he does talk in like a very flat monotone and moving very inhuman. And he really didn't get nearly enough props for his portrayal there, because it wasn't I don't think anyone else could have played it like that. I don't think anyone else would have done it that way. And it was just so perfect. But I think people thought like that, oh, he doesn't speak English that well. Maybe that's why he's not talking as much. No, he was playing that character
He's
to a
playing that
fucking
character,
T.
yeah, right.
And
He was
and that was
supposed
a
to be
horrific,
like that, right?
yeah. Because that
Because
that
think
that goes
about it,
back to that goes back
T
to
two T2 was supposed to be more advanced than he was. That's why it looked more human, it acted more human. He kept saying it in the movie that it's a liquid metal, like it's
oh,
way
and
more
see in
advanced
part
than that.
2. Yeah,
Right? He
yeah,
kept saying it's way more advanced. That's why when he talked the way he did. He said, "I can look human, but I can't act human. I can't pass for a human." And he was like, "They can spot me, and they have dogs that can
right.
spot me, but this liquid metal Joker, You see how he was interacting with the people? He'd be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, can I borrow your bike?" You know what I mean? Like
yeah, and
he was
he could deal
he
with the dog. He was like, "What's wrong with the dog?" And so, but yeah, the dog was barking. The dog was still barking. But my point, like what I'm talking about in the original movie, like the way he did it, the way Arnold played it was a horror film, and it goes back to when Reese was telling her in the car, like you can't reason with it, you can't,
no
you know what I'm saying? Like it's just not going to
right.
stop until you're dead. And when you see Arnold walking through that police station, just tearing shit up,
Spraying
cops
cops, just spraying
and cops,
everybody.
right? And a whole
He
police
killed,
department
and the
can't do
crazy
nothing
part was
with him.
he killed everybody in the damn police station. Like he went in there
That's what
and he
I'm
went back.
saying.
He went back
That
and
was
killed people. Like he missed him. Hold up, let me get that one. Pow. It's like,
yeah, like motherfuckers
like
hiding and shit. He's like finding
yeah, like
people. It was
he was
horrific.
killing
That's scary, bro.
everybody, bro.
And she's
Yeah,
in there, and she's in there, and you think, what's the safest place I could be? In the middle of a fucking
there's
police
a
department,
there's a
and it's
police
still
department,
not safe. That
right?
was horror. And
That's
considering
scary. Yeah,
Schwarzenegger as well known for playing muscle-bound heroes at that point in his career, it was a shock to see him as a villain. And but the Terminator is relentless in his pursuit of Sarah Connor. Bullets, knives, even an exploding 18-wheeler can't stop it. It just strides forward, intent on its purpose. You got Kyle Reese, right? Perfectly sums up how terrifying of an antagonist the machine is when he tells her, it can't be bargained with, reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. It absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. I was like, whoa. And Reese's words are very prophetic. And in its hunt for Sarah, the Terminator tracks down every person in the phone book who's named Sarah
yeah,
Connor. So
he killed every Sarah Connor in the phone. But yeah, yeah,
that's
he ain't play
horror.
no
That's horror.
games.
And he's
Didn't
doing it
even
in broad
ask.
daylight.
Didn't he ask if he had the right one? You
Yeah,
Sarah Connor? Yes.
Sarah
Okay. Okay. What do you need? Blah. It's like,
Bink,
dang. Yeah.
word,
Yeah.
bink. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Sarah Connor, bow. But
Yes.
that's
Boom.
scary. Like, so everybody named Sarah Connor, and it even breaks into her apartment, right, and murders her roommate Ginger, and kills the boyfriend, like his nut, like just tosses him like he ain't shit. And and one of the more chilling parts of the film, he tracks down Sarah's mother and kills her, and then mimics her voice to lure Sarah into the trap. Calls her on the phone. He's like, "Hi, Sarah," like that. And then they showed Arnold talking with her voice, and then the Terminator might be unstoppable. The flesh surrounding its metal endoskeleton isn't as durable, right? So then this leads to the film's more horrifying elements as the Terminator slowly starts to resemble a wax statue more than human. And it ends up, cutting out his own eye and peeling out his
Yeah.
own. Right. That shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Cause I remember being a little kid watching that particular scene,
Yeah.
and
That
thinking
was
like,
gory. That was real gory. Yeah. You see the blood dropping in the sink and he digging in
you
his
see the
eye.
eye
You're like,
fall.
oh, yeah. You're
And
like,
I really
oh.
thought it was real. Like as a little kid, I was like, "What the fuck? Like that man just cut his own eye out." Like, but then leading to the iconic moment where it puts on the shades to hide the damage, and then he just looks badass. And then but a large part of what's led to dissatisfaction with the post Judgment Day sequels is that they've tied up the stakes of Judgment Day, but it feels less like they've cleared that bar and more like they're attempting to scrape the barrel and just do it again. But nearly every new Terminator that has appeared in the franchise has more or less been a variant of the T-1000, the liquid metal, because it was first he was the liquid metal, and then and then the third one she was the solid metal with the liquid metal on top of it, which still was like liquid metal. And then
Yeah. Yeah. It was still liquid metal.
right, and
The second
despite the
one was
fact
still
that
liquid metal.
Sarah and her son
But
John
remember, the difference was she could have weapons. Remember the
right,
last
right,
one, he could only do
she could make
stabbing weapons.
yeah,
She could
she
do
could make guns
projectiles.
and
Yeah.
flamethrowers and all
Yeah.
kinds. Sada. Yeah, she could
Hello, hello.
what's good, what's good?
I know I finally made it. I was having so many issues, but I'm like, yes,
Hey, as long as you're here.
yes. Whew.
As long as you're
Okay.
it's been a
What have I
while.
missed? It's been a minute. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. I was so sick, bro. I was so sick for like 2 weeks, and It just like I couldn't get better. I was like, this is not going away. And because I tried to come back and do the show that one day, and I was just like running out of breath and I couldn't breathe. It was like shortness
Yeah.
of breath. I was like, we gotta stop.
Right.
And I probably shouldn't have even done it. But yeah, but I woke up yesterday. I woke up feeling like for the first time, nothing, no sickness for the first time yesterday. And I wanted to give it a day. I was talking to Stu and I was like, man, let's get the show back on the road.
Yes.
So right now we're talking about Terminator, and we're talking about the possibility and the talks that Cameron is talking about, rebooting the franchise, talking and how he took out 10 minutes of gun violence out of Avatar, and he wants to tone down the gun violence and make it less about that.
Interesting.
But so I was saying, Stu, despite the fact that Sarah and John Connor managed to stop the advent of Skynet, it still somehow manages to exist in the future. And so there's that fact that someone some way manages to reprogram a Terminator who looks just like the first one to be one of the good guys, shifting back the horror genre, shed these tired cliches and give the franchise some truly new blood if they went back to the horror sci-fi aspect, because Terminator 1 was a horror sci-fi movie. It was a horror movie with sci-fi sprinkles. T2 was a blockbuster film. It wasn't a horror movie, and Terminator never went back to its horror roots. But Cameron could definitely dip into a new set of horror tropes because he wants to do a film about AI run amok, perhaps restructuring Skynet into a virus that infects its victims and turns them into Terminators would be a neat start. There's a lot of ways he could go. Or setting a film that, at the beginning of the machine apocalypse would really sell the horror of the Terminators home. But whatever the case, he could strive to put the fear of God, or rather the fear of Skynet, back into the hearts of fans. I think that would be a guaranteed success. I think he would be successful doing that for sure.
Yeah, reboot? That's high. Like with Terminator, there's so many possibilities. I know like the latest one didn't do so hot. So whatever happened with that, don't do that again.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because like whatever they've been like the last 3 movies, they keep trying to redo, recapture that T2 really, and it's like that movie. You wrote yourself into a corner now, so all you can do now is go into the future. That's all you can do, or keep retelling the same story, which you've done now 4 times. And people are tired of it. People are just tired of it. So if you're gonna ever reboot it, you're gonna have to reboot it in a way that makes it different. And what James Cameron was saying was that if he did reboot it, it would have to be different because he wants to get away from like gun violence. And so he would want to focus more on like the AI aspect versus the, evil robots running around aspect, which is fine. And I think in a horror setting, as a horror film would work, would be great, because that's what Terminator originally was. I think that's the only way to really bring it back.
Agreed.
So, did you see Avatar 2 yet?
Okay. I've never had a big interest in the first one, so I didn't really feel inclined to see the second one, but I've heard it was good and it's making that money, so
yeah. But I feel you on that. Like the first one was this big event and everybody, it was like, oh, it was cool to look at, but I missed what everybody found so amazing about it. I get it's the story is Pocahontas. I mean, the story's been done a million times.
I guess it was just the visuals, really, that just kind of captured everybody.
That's exactly it. It's the visual effects. That's all you could do. And this whole movie, this whole second one is all about the water. Because they've now got great water effects. I mean, people aren't seeing through that. Like,
because the reviews that I was seeing, they were like, it looks great, but the story is like, so I was like, oh, well, there you go.
I mean, I mean, Stu liked it, and I saw like the first maybe 30 minutes of it, and I didn't stop watching it because I didn't like it. I actually thought it was actually pretty good, and I wanted to
Mhm.
watch the rest of it in uh, better, because I was watching a like kind of shitty bootleg of it. I wanted to
Yeah.
see it better, better visual. So I didn't finish it, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's Pocahontas. That's the original story. You can't go wrong there. It's a great story. I mean, and so writing wise, story wise, I'm sure that this movie has a great story, a normal like, but I'm sure it's pretty predictable, like the first one. I mean, they might be predictable, but they're beautiful and well enough written that they're tearing up the box office. But he wants to go to, I think, part 6 or part 5, and he said, well, he's gonna have to change his villain plan for Avatars 3, 4, and 5.
Mm.
Colonel Miles, yeah, Quaritch, what's his name? Quaritch, Stephen Lang, returns in this one as the bad guy, except in this one, he's not human, he's in the form
He's
of
never,
an
yeah, a
an
Navi.
avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, not me, right, and, because he died in the movie, in Avatar, but he formerly served as the RDA's senior commander before Jake Sully, and the Na'vi defeated his army. And Avatar 2, The Way of the Water, sees him come back in, as an avatar containing his human form's memories. It's not him, it's just his consciousness or his memories downloaded into a Na'vi avatar
Yeah.
with a
Yep.
and his mission is to kill Jake. It's to get revenge for him, which I don't see the government sanctioning and spending trillions of dollars on, but whatever. His survival at the end of the movie suggests
It
that he
was because Jake also was leading because they're trying to terraform that planet. Well, not terraform,
right.
but they're trying to colonize it. And Jake is leading raids
Yeah,
on
that I
military outposts, and he's doing he's causing a lot of trouble,
right.
and they can't catch him. So they figure you got to send a
Mm.
maniac to catch a maniac. So that's where they came up with the making the Colonel
Oh,
into his
so
consciousness
they're like
into a Navi.
unleash
Right,
cartridge on him. Yeah,
right.
unleash
That was
courage
the
on
whole
him.
premise of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. And yeah, so and then in 2017, James Cameron told Empire that Lang's character will be the villain of Avatar 3, 4, and 5, which are slated to release every other year after this one. So like 2024 and 2026 and 2028. Um his status as the is Stephen Lang's status as the recurring antagonist implies that Cameron intends to consistently pit humans against the Na'vi, like in the first two movies. While a multi-film threat, can make for a compelling narrative over several films, as we've seen obviously with the MCU and other franchises. Um, the this sequel has not developed courage enough as a character to make his upcoming appearances really worthwhile. I think that they need to like move away from this character, because Avatar 2 sets up a very tedious and unearned return for his character in Avatar 3 and the future sequels. Like the conflict in this movie boils down to little more than his revenge quest against Jake Sully, which undersells the vast world and intriguing dynamic between human invaders and Pandora's indigenous population as established by the first movie. Quaritch is only fleshed out in through this movie's Spider, who is originally raised by the Na'vi. However, the film spends little time exploring their relationship, his son, Spider, in depth after Quaritch abducts Spider early on. Simultaneously, the concept of human militants becoming Na'vi recombatants is explained in exposition. They, explain it. And though the stakes and consequences of such a development are largely ignored throughout the film, Avatar 2 should be the end of Quaritch's role in the franchise so that Avatar 3 can introduce a new villain capable of broaching deeper and unexplored themes in its story. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because, like, he's just this revenge dude. Like, is it going to be revenge part 3, part 4, part 5? This guy's steady trying to get, like, that's boring as fuck. Exemplified by Quaritch's cliched villainy, Avatar 2 human antagonists are bluntly one-dimensional, and since the sky people are colonizers wreaking havoc on the land and inhabitants of Pandora, it would be in poor taste to portray them as overly sympathetic. So in that way, their superficial characterization it works. It's necessary. You don't want to make them too human to be human. The problem lies in reducing the sky people's motivation to his revenge plot instead of evoking the evils of colonialism established by the first film, albeit that was explored only on a surface level. Because, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like, part 3, part 4, part 5, like, this could be really interesting if you get into the colonialization side of it, you know, and really delve into those tropes. You know what I'm saying? Because that can be deep, you know, colonialization and, you know, indigenous people being genocide, you know. I mean, come on, like, that's some human shit that we could really explore, but revenge
There's
is
nobody in Hollywood smart enough to present that to us on the big screen.
Yeah, no. Like Lauren Brad said, it's gonna be a villain redemption arc. That's might be what it comes down to.
And people, I'm gonna be honest, people mostly come to see the CGIs that come with Avatar. That's what they're that's the big selling point of Avatar, that CGI. I mean, I don't know if they used Unreal Engine 5 or what, but it was good.
Yeah, it was great.
I can't lie. It was great, bro. I can't lie. I can't say anything bad about it, man. Listen, it's worth a trip to the theater.
And that's
the
why
water looked real.
But that's what I'm saying. This one's called The Way of the Water. And they literally said, because now we've got these great effects and water looks really realistic, because CGI water looked really kind of gelatinous. It looked very like Jello.
Except for Nintendo. Nintendo always made good water.
Nintendo's got it right.
I don't know why. I don't know why. But Nintendo, especially if you ever play Wave Race, Nintendo always made good water effects.
Okay. Well, but what I'm saying is, like, okay, this is the water movie. What's part 3 gonna be? And then 4 and then 5. Like, are you going the elements? Is it gonna be a fire movie next?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm just so amazed.
So you can't really go to the air because they kind of did a little bit of both. Because when they talk about the tribes, they all, I don't know, maybe you got the ground, the flat land people on the next one, and they live on the flatlands of the planet. Or the underground Na'vi. You know what I mean? You know, it all depends on what now, because they do mention other Na'vi on the planet in the movie. They do mention other tribes, and even the water ones mention there are other tribes. There's other, you know, but they all do something different.
Desert,
desert, yeah.
Desert,
or we could get the cold. We could get the cold dwelling one, ice. Yeah, ice. You know, you never know. You never know what
caves
they. You know,
would be cool.
Caves would be cool.
I mean, honestly,
the cave people, right?
The cave dwelling Na'vi.
People that dwell in the walls, like the holes in the caves. Those, I mean, that's real. You know,
the Pueblo Na'vi that live on the cave, the cave, and they all got some type of, they all got some type of tree that's connected to the planet.
Yeah. Well, and something to the redemption arc, because he does subtly show that he cares a little bit about Spider when Neytiri, Zoe Saldana, holds him at knife point. But the film doesn't really explore, you know, his inner turmoil or the complexities of a revived consciousness existing in a different body, dealing with the fact of your son from your DNA from your other body before your consciousness was transported, and then are you still even that person? It's like there's a lot of shit to and then, like, can that dude ever be redeemed? Because is it his whole consciousness or is it just the angry part, the revenge part? Like, just the memories? I mean, does it have his
In the well, yeah, in the movie they explain that it's not really him.
right,
They keep reminding him, you're not the real thing. Like
right,
you're not that. You're just a carbon copy. You're just a consciousness. You're not really him. So you might know a lot of things about him. You might know every movie he made, what he liked for breakfast, whatever. But you're not him
right,
because
right,
Spider in the movie Spider's supposed to be his son,
right.
and he left him there. And so they keep telling him like that's not really your son, dude.
Not really your son.
And they keep telling Spider that's not really your dad. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's an avatar. Hence the movie name
Mhm.
Avatar. That's just that he is truly an avatar. So he's
Yeah.
like Jake. He's like
Right.
Jake Sully. Like
Right.
Jake. So Jake's consciousness was put into
They're stuck in that
that.
body. Their human
Right, they're
bodies are
stuck in it.
gone.
Right, both of their bodies are gone. So
Yeah.
they both, they do iterate that, but
And
they
then
do show
and
the
then
compassion that he has near the end
and then
for
what
his
about
son.
Sigourney Weaver's character? She's like suspended in life and death. Like, where is she? She's floating in that water. I didn't get to
She
that part.
she
And
became
was it
one with the she became one with the planet, the mother.
with the
So she
tree?
is
Right.
right. So you can speak to her, but you have to connect to the tree
She's
in
like
order to
Gaia.
speak to her. Right, like her consciousness is in the planet. It's living within the planet.
Okay. Okay. And she's like Spider's mother too, right?
No, she's the mother of the girl,
Oh, the
the girl one,
girl the
the
girl
girl one, the
Navi.
other
Right.
one, the one
The
that
Navi.
the one that can kind of like communicate with the planet,
Right.
with the mother tree and all of that.
Right.
That's her daughter,
Right.
and they
Right.
were
So I
trying
mean,
to
there's a
figure
lot
out
of
when
cool
she
shit.
had her.
Yeah, and there's a
Yeah,
lot of cool shit. There's a lot of cool shit that they can do, and in sequels, and I don't know about part 5, but we'll see. But I think that this movie failed to justify uh the bad guy's revival, but in bringing him back, James Cameron sort of missed the opportunity to tell a unique story that expands on that of the first movie. Instead, this movie repeats similarly shallow plot points involving the Kritchark's destruction of Pandora and the Navi's strive for self-preservation in the face of an imperialist threat. It's like the same thing. But introducing a new villain in Avatar 3 would improve the franchise's story. Despite growing up among, Avatar's Navi societies, Spider's arc in Avatar could position him as the antagonist in future films. He might follow in his corrupt father's footsteps, which would be an intriguing, if predictable, but development. And unlike the human occupants on Pandora, Spider would be an appropriately sympathetic villain with nuances that you could see his side of it, kind of thing, and because of his close relationship with the Navi in Avatar, and also illustrates the Navi's resentment, particularly through Neytiri towards Spider, because they resent Spider, and then as well as Spider's estrangement from the Navi when Jake does not attempt to rescue him. Like it's a perfect setup for him to be so. And I don't know. I don't know what happened to him in the end, but I think Spider being the villain would actually make a fuck ton of sense. Instead of using an existing character from the first 2 films, the franchise could also find its new villain in an antagonistic avatar, Navi, right? Jake and Neytiri have not dealt with the internal threats thus far, in the tribe, and this could present a fascinating conflict for their family to navigate. Even if James Cameron insists on keeping Avatar's villains consistent, introducing a new leader or group of Earth-born humans would prevent the franchise from growing staler than it already has in 2 films. But Avatar 2 fails to cement Quitrark as a compelling villain for future films, and Cameron's intention to keep him around is not encouraging for this franchise's future. Like it. Oh, I'm gonna admit I was a little disappointed when I found out he was the bad guy again. I was like, again, this guy. I was a little bit. I get it, and it makes sense, and it works fine, but not 3, 4, and 5. But anyway, but Avatar 3 has a release date, 2024, December 20th. Avatar 4 has a release date of December 18th, 2026.
Mm.
And Avatar 5 is December 22nd, 2028. So they're all
Yes,
coming out a
and
couple
that's
days
true.
before Christmas every
Because
other season.
James Cameron also said that he filmed most of these 5 movies. I don't know how, but he said he had to because he didn't want the actors to grow old on him and look
Yeah,
different. So he had to
right.
film. He said he filmed the
He's right.
majority of everything that isn't CG. He filmed
Mhm.
it already. It's already filmed.
Yeah.
It just has to be added to the CG, and they just have to work on it CG wise. But he said that he did it because he didn't want the actors to grow older and look different every movie if he was to pull off this 5 movie deal he's
Mhm.
trying to do. So everything you see on these next movies has already been filmed, and I think it took him 2 to 3 years to film all of that, and
That's
they
the
just
real
filmed it all at
reason
once.
why
Right?
that's the real reason why this movie took so long to come out.
Yes, he said because they filmed everything,
Yep.
everything that had to do with just the regular people and the human. They filmed all that, and then they just add the
Mhm.
CGs later.
Well, in
Oof.
part 5, interestingly, he's already talking about, that the Na'vi will likely come to Earth. So James, Cameron's Avatar films are set in the lavishly created fictional world of Pandora. It's all amazing looking and everything. Take it to Earth, I think we lose a lot. But anyway, they're humans are repeating the same mistakes that they have made on Earth. Obviously, we never learn. They're attempting to plunder Pandora's natural resources because we didn't learn that destroying our own planet wasn't a fucking wise choice. But ranging from the rare mineral unobtainium to the precious glands of the whale like Tulkun, Tolkien. But now the conflict is becoming an existential one for the native Navi because humanity is aiming to claim Pandora as a new homeworld for the humans. Like this is going to be Earth 2. And the Earth, briefly seen in the first Avatar film, was poisoned as a dystopian, and they killed their mother. I think it was Jake Sully. He said they killed their mother and they're going to come do the same thing here. He
Okay.
said in one of the memorable speeches. But according to part 2, Jake's assessment of Earth is now shared even by the rich and powerful. And they've decided that they must leave Earth and move to Pandora. And humans have returned to the moon, establishing a new city from which they can expand from kind of like their base on the moon. And then at the end of part 2, apparently, we see Jake commit at last to commit to resisting them. And he will inevitably lead the Navi in a war. Um, and there have been constant rumors that it is one that the Navi will actually go to Earth to fight, to fight the humans on their own planet. But it's difficult to imagine a scenario where the Navi visit Earth simply because they have no interest in pursuing any kind of technology or military ethos. They're not looking to conquer anything. They don't fly in ships. They have no travel. But Jake's continued faith in human science, as portrayed as a weakness rather than a strength in part 2. He summons doctors when his adopted daughter Kiri is left in a coma after a
Yep.
mystical experience, right? And then
Hmm.
his faith in science blinds him to the significance of the event. And in thematic terms, then there's no way the Navi will ever embrace interstellar flight and head to Earth to wage war there. But Kiri is the key to the Avatar saga. Kiri, Cameron deliberately surrounds this character with messianic imagery, complete with miraculous conception, right? Her mystical sort of experience, or as a human science would put it, her epileptic seizure, is analogous to a baptism, and she appears to have been born of Awa, the tree. Well, not the tree. Awa's like their god of Mother Earth, and So it's to serve as a bridge between the Navi and the Sky people, because her body is uniquely adaptable and she's able to survive underwater, right, for extended periods of time. And her body seems more suited to human environments than the Navis normally would. And so she's also the only one of the Sullys who considers Spider part of the family. Because again, they kind of resent his humanness. But Kiri is
No,
uniquely
no, no. We don't know.
no,
No.
no, they don't.
In the movie, no. In the movie, they liked the Spider in the movie. They thought Spider was the man. They adopted Spider
Kids though,
because like he was literally left there. The kids loved him,
right?
but the
The
adults kind
kids
of
like
was like
adults
the
was
adults
like,
was kind of like, he's here, he's with us, he's one of us, but he's not one of us.
but he's not.
But he is one of
Yeah,
us. Yeah, he
right,
was. Yeah, right. Like he knew their laws, he knew their ways. He spoke Navi and all that, but he
right.
wasn't. He
But he's
just wasn't
still
blue. He even
still
painted like little stripes on his body and everything. And
still a white boy, no
they
matter what.
right, yeah, they accepted him. They
Yeah,
accepted him, but at the
right,
same time, he would always complain like he would say stuff
right.
to him like, "I could breathe your air. I can't. I can only breathe your air for like a few minutes.
Yeah, but y'all
And
can
you can
kick
breathe. Y'all can breathe
yeah,
our air. You can breathe my air and your
for
air,
hours. Right.
like right for hours, like on hands." So he was, he was always comparing himself to them.
Mhm.
And but he could, when it came to keeping up with them in the forest, he could do all that.
Right.
Spider's character basically to me was that character that kind of bridged the gap between what happened and what was gonna happen, because they
Right.
actually captured him and they had him, and he actually kind of started sympathizing with them. But then when he saw the destructive nature of what they did, and because they would flash back to things that Sully told him, like, look, like humans don't care. They will come here and destroy it. He started
Right.
seeing how destructive and wasteful they were. Like when they killed one of the
Right.
whales, he was like, all right, what are you going to do with the rest of it? It was
Right.
like nothing. Dump it in the ocean. Let it go.
Right.
Like that's it. He was like, Dad, like
And he's
that's
gonna
it. You
waste
killed
all
this just to get 1 liter of fluid out of the
one
well.
little
You did all this work. Like they showed this complex. They showed this real complex uh um setup that they have for capturing one of these whales, killing it, extracting the
right.
fluid, and it's just 1 liter. It's a liter
Right.
of fluid. And the guy
Which
said
goes
it's
which is like I think it's like a, it's like a metaphor for like even for the whaling industry that we had, here on Earth, the whaling industry, we would kill these big whales and just take like the oil and throw the rest back, or what
right. Or the
the
buffalo
what
or
or what they
buffaloes
did
where they
to
would
the buffalo,
just take the fur and leave all the meat.
just take the fur
And
and leave
people,
the
yeah,
whole animal, whereas the
right.
natives would use every scrap of the animal,
Every
every scrap,
animal, right.
the
So
whole
that's what
thing.
so then yeah, Spider starts really seeing them
Yeah,
for what they're for, because at one point in the movie, Spider kind of like he's kind of saying, well, maybe I can see where they're coming from. But
yeah, right.
then after a while, Spider's like, nah, they're not. These guys are just like Jake said. It just took me a while to see it.
Yeah,
And then
right,
once
right,
Spider saw what they were, he really. But Spider is like the best of both worlds
right,
because he is human, but he is Navi at the same time. So he's the best of both the humans and the Navi. Like at the end, where he saves the dude, the Colonel, he saves him. Like Jake killed him. He had him. He was underwater drowning. Spider goes back down there and saves him. And when he comes back up, he asks Spider like, "Yo, why'd you say?" And Spider just looked at him like, "If you don't know, you ain't gonna never know." And he stepped
right,
off. And
right.
then he's telling Spider to come with him. Like Spider, come with me. And Spider's like, nah, my heart ain't with And he leaves.
Yeah,
And it hurt the Colonel. He was like, dang, like he won't even come. He
mhm,
like, dang, he won't even come with me. But
yeah,
Spider does realize by the end of the movie that that's not really his dad. Um, and that if it was, his dad was a cruel man that he never would have wanted to know.
right, right. Well, but it'll be cool to see the human aspect in the Navi, like seeing the Navi come to Earth. But I think Spider is kind of like a little foreshadowing of that, them getting to know humans a little more, whatever. But Kiri is
Yeah.
uniquely
And
positioned,
Kiri, right? And Kiri's like Spider, but the Navi version, and she can
right,
communicate with the planet. Like she's a special Navi. Like
right, and because she's got
they kind
the
of figure,
messianic
yeah, they right. She got to make right,
ministry
but they
of
don't really.
yeah,
But here's the thing, Reno, they don't really figure it out yet. They kind of get an
uh,
inkling of it, and the doctor tells them one thing. So Jake kind of knows that she has something special, but they don't know
right,
what. They don't know how deep it is. The
right.
kids do. The kids kind of know, but the
They know
parents
it's
don't. They
coming,
have
right,
no idea. Right?
mm,
Like she can speak to all the animals, like
right, right,
mental, like telepathic, like Aquaman and all that. She can do a lot. Like she's connected. Like the planet is connected to everything.
yeah.
She's connected to everything, and including the planet.
Well, that
And
I think this
they just don't
explains
know how deep her connection is. That's the only
and
thing they
and
don't
that
they don't know yet.
explanation or you know her being connected, I think explains why the Avatar films will inevitably head to Earth. The humans in
Right.
the Navi are becoming locked in a cycle of
Yep.
violence, you know, and it will end up, you know, it will end up going to the next generation, but including Kiri, to free them from it, you know. But this means the resolution of the Avatar saga lies not in conflict, but in redemption, not in hostility, but in peace. And Kiri will presumably become something of an ambassador figure, perhaps somehow restoring Earth with the help of Awa. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Is it like, you know, Awa is like this, you know, maybe it can restore the planet, the nature, you know, nature, maybe help through some conduit of her or something like that. And this would
Right. Or
fit,
maybe maybe she would be the new Aowa
or she
of
becomes the
Earth.
Awa of Earth, right?
Right.
And this would
Yeah.
fit in James Cameron's, you know, environmental themes that he's into, and but also with the sense of optimism and hope that runs through the franchise. And but it would mean Avatar 5 will be a film redolent with hope, and you know, which Earth is saved and not defeated, you know, and that potential is definitely there. And but it's set up, I think, in this movie. So I can't wait to see the rest of this movie. I might just watch it, man. But it's just the bootleg is so bad. I want to see it. I want to see it
Yeah.
look good, you know?
I will say what bootleg was good though. That Black Adam. That Black Adam was good from day one.
Oh,
That was a good
yeah,
bootleg.
yeah,
That was a good. If I would have known it was that good, I would have never went to the movies. Not that I didn't enjoy Black Adam in the movies because I did, but
yeah. Wouldn't have
it was
bothered me.
good. It was
Yeah.
DVD quality. I could sit here and watch that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, let's see. What? Oh, we gotta talk about some mutants.
Mutants.
There's some
Ooh.
mutant stuff happening. There's mutant shit. Marvel rejects. Okay, so starting with the MCU and the mutants, an MCU theory claims that the X-Men already exist on Earth 616,
Oh,
but not how you think. Since Disney acquired 21st Century Fox back in 2018, theories have been circulating about how the MCU might introduce the X-Men, you know, and by extension mutants into its continuity and not make it look, you know, shoehorned, you know.
right.
While Ms. Marvel and Namor have already been confirmed to be mutants within the MCU canon, it's without the connection to the X-Men or Charles Xavier. And one Reddit user's theory, however, claims that the X-Men already exist within the MCU, but not in the way that fans might think. And Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness revealed a lot about the nature of the MCU and the future of the franchise, outside of cameos by Charles Xavier and arguably more dangerous Reed Richards of Earth 838. Fans were also introduced to the concept of the multiverse within the MCU at large. And with this reveal came another. The audience learned that some dreams that occur on Earth 616 are actually the dreamers seeing through the eyes of their multiverse variants, witnessing events that are real, but just not in their own reality. It's a cool sort of like what are dreams really, and this is a fundamental part of this Reddit user's theory. But his theory is simple at first glance, but it covers some very complicated ground.
Oh, no.
Essentially, they posit that the X-Men movies exist within the MCU canon, but as movies. And this is due to Evan Peters' appearance as Ralph Bonner in WandaVision and Kevin Bacon in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And these appearances confirm that they exist as actors within the MCU and thus imply that their film catalogs do as well. And that
Oh,
includes the X-Men movies. And so the theory goes on to suggest that the person who wrote those movies within the context of the MCU might also be a mutant in another reality, and that their creativity is simply an expression of their multiverse meandering.
oh, oh man, what a
Right?
theory!
Hey, it's fun. But
Ah, that is a fun theory, though.
it is.
Oh man,
A point is also raised about the inclusion of DC characters within the MCU too, because before Eternal sets up the Secret Wars, there's a reference to both Superman and uh, Alfred from Batman. A reference to these characters suggests that other franchises already exist within the confines of the MCU, albeit in the form of fictional, figures, comics, movies, books, whatever. And if that is the case, it sets a precedent that makes the inclusion of the X-Men movies plausible, if not funny. But as intriguing as it is, there are some obvious holes, obviously, in the theory. For starters, if the character of Peter Maximoff truly existed within the MCU as a fictional character, it would be strange for Wanda to have never heard of him, considering that he shares a last name and power set with her brother.
right,
Even if one were to overlook this fact, though, other issues begin to arise when considering the casting of and characters within the X-Men and the MCU, such as cases of actors playing multiple characters across franchises or rights disputes like MCU Fox and Quicksilver. But fans of the MCU and X-Men franchises have just been really long awaiting for the arrival of their mutants to the favorite characters to the MCU. So lots of theories like this spinning around and all kinds of fun ideas, but few would believe claims that they'd simply just missed their inclusion.
right.
But while the theory has a few problems when one considers it in relation to the MCU's continuity, it does not make it any less fun to consider. But the multiverse is sprawling before fans of the MCU, and the X-Men could already exist on Earth 616, but not how we think. But
Oh man, I mean that's a fun theory. I just like my head was hurting, like just trying to piece that together. So I'm just like, oh
yeah,
my goodness, I don't know. I feel like the best way for them to put it together would be through the third Deadpool movie. I think
hmm
I feel like that's the best way they can do it. I don't know how, if they're even going to, but like if they
yeah,
wanted to, I feel like that's the best way because anything else, I don't know.
yeah. Anything else could be really like too complex.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Deadpool 3. It's gonna be like a one off of Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine for the one movie, and but speaking of Deadpool 3, it is beginning to get it clearer and clearer as the pre-production continues to gather pace, with Hugh Jackman recently dishing all sorts of juicy details on his long awaited and thought impossible introduction as Wolverine in the MCU specific. But we know that Logan will remain unsullied, right? The movie, which is just as well, because tampering with a classic is about the only way Sean Levy's threequel could piss people off. Jackman also teased that alternate timelines and multiversal shenanigans were in play, and so that's kind of how they're going to explain it here. But it's just Logan, or it's just Wolverine from this, Hugh Jackman, this one character. So the multiverse thing, I knew when they introduced the
Oh,
multiverse,
my
it was
brain
going to be, yeah,
is
and I knew,
swelling.
like, okay, but it would also be like their sort of MacGuffin, they're sort of like
Yeah.
just quick fix to anything, any explanation. But the dynamic duo are going to absolutely detest each other as they embark on what is sure to be, an odd couple type adventure, which is kind of the same thing we got with Cable and Deadpool. It's very similar, because Wolverine hates Deadpool,
Yeah.
in this, especially in this one. But there's obviously going to be a plot of some description that ties into the
And
storied
Deadpool,
history of Deadpool.
yeah, Deadpool rubs everybody the wrong way.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah, everybody. He rubs it. He can't work well with anybody. Man. He just
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Ugh,
But
So it would be appropriate because that's how they are in the comics.
that's
yeah.
how they
He
are.
just yeah. Wolverine tolerates him, but secretly he hates him. He's like, I can't stand this dude.
That's
But
how. Yeah.
he'll work with him, but he can't stand him.
Right. Right. And another fascinating theory being put forth on Reddit, neatly tracing everything back to X-Men Origins Wolverine of all
Oh
things.
boy.
Specifically, its forgotten credits scene where Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool's head comes back to life, and we see, because once the Weapon 11 version of Wade gets decapitated, we get a quick glimpse of his still alive, detached cranium. And as the theory goes, Wolverine and Deadpool could use the multiverse effect to head back to the 1970s in an effort to reclaim the rogue head from the clutches of evil forces who plan to use it as means to further, their mutant experimentation program. And it would lean into the multiverse saga at the same time as offering an explanation for why mutants and have suddenly started appearing in the 616 timeline, with Wade and Logan right at the center of the maelstrom. And it sounds awesome, and we'd be fully on board, were it to become a reality. But one of James Cameron's favorite things to do in promotion of Avatar, Way of Water, has been to throw shade at the MCU. Anytime the opportunity even remotely presents itself. But his sci-fi sequel continues to lag behind Kevin Feige's franchise in a race to the top of the box office. So, but Deadpool 3 has also been dropping new details with increasing regularity, and it sounds as though, life is destined to imitate art
You know,
when
when
Hugh
you
Jackman
know
and Ryan.
when are we supposed to get
Okay.
that the next Deadpool movie? When are we supposed to get
Yeah,
Deadpool 3?
Yeah, that's a good question.
it
They had
is.
a release date. I know. I just gotta look it up.
Do we have like
Yeah.
a roundabout? Do we got even a year that it's supposed to be
Yeah.
released?
I was supposed
I'll
to be in
take that.
2024, November 8th. That's what I'm
There you
seeing.
go.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
So
like
we got a
yeah.
little
that's
bit.
like a whole nother, that's like a whole another year away, bro. Like,
Yeah. For deadline,
wow,
Blade
man.
is now going to be released on September 6th, 2024, from its previous release date of November 3rd, 2023, and Deadpool moves from September 6th, 2024 to November 8th, 2024.
Okay,
But
so what are
yeah.
we getting in 2023?
You know,
I mean,
I
if
said,
you move everything to
2023
2024,
is stacked. No, 2023
okay,
is stacked.
what we got? What we got? What we got for
It,
2020?
I got a list somewhere. It's a lot of stuff. It's mostly Star Wars and stuff, but
I'm
there's
saying, but from the MCU, like, what are we getting?
we got the
well,
Ant-Man movie.
yeah,
We
Quantum
have
Okay,
Mania.
we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
okay.
Okay, the Spider-Verse, that's not a part of the MCU. Looks like the Marvels, but that's coming out on July 28th.
Yeah.
And then Kraven the Hunter, that's not in the MCU either. Don't put these things on
No,
here.
that's
And then the
Sony.
rest are like TV shows. So
Right.
movie-wise, it's only like those three.
We got two
Yeah,
movies,
no, it's
6 months
stacked
apart.
with we got shows, movies, but it's a mixture of Star Wars, Marvel, it's a lot of other stuff. But there'll be plenty of stuff. But yeah, then 2024 is Blade. In 2024 we get Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, Avengers Secret Wars. Actually, that's not even coming out till 2026.
LOL. Oh my gosh.
And then there's the untitled Marvel movie for February 14th, 2025, which is pushed to November 7th, 2025, which I'm thinking is probably some sort of X-Men thing. Hopefully. But a second untitled movie has also been removed from the schedule after being set for May 1st, 2026. So we don't know where that's going to be or what even it was.
Oh my goodness.
There's two untitled movies.
Is it Fantastic Four and X-Men? Like, I don't know.
Got to be X-Men because Fantastic Four is there. I mean, we're seeing that.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
kind of
but-
on the schedule. But
Maybe it's a Hulk movie. Maybe we get a Hulk movie.
oh yeah, the rights.
It's possible.
Gotta wait till the rights come back.
Right, the rights. Right.
Push
But
it.
that's what
My
I'm saying.
kids, my children, of all children in the world, some children like Spider-Man, other children like Batman, some children even like Superman. All my boys love the Hulk. That's their favorite superhero. That's who they love. That's who they idolize. They
Them and
love the
Pete
Hulk.
Rock. Yeah,
Right. That's who they
them
love.
and Pete
That's who they
Rock.
love. That's their favorite superhero. So you got to throw a Hulk movie out there somewhere.
You
No,
gotta.
that you got to, and I think we're there. I think we're to the point, or we will be by that point, 2024, 2025, where the rights is they're past that contract shit, and we can finally do some real Hulk stuff. But what was I saying about Deadpool 3? Oh yeah, so kind of we were talking about like Avatar and Deadpool 3, and so Avatar has only just become the 51st movie in history to reach $1 billion at the box office, and it's managed to do it in under 2 weeks.
I'm like amazed. I can't
Part
believe
two or
it.
part one?
Part
two.
two.
Part two.
I can't
But
believe it.
I'm
It's
telling
got
you,
a
but
cult
Marvel,
following, Sada.
it's
I
Sada,
know.
you the
I just
only
like I
Sada,
didn't
you
know
are the
it was gonna
only
hit a
person
billion.
in America. Sada, you are the only person in America that has no interest in seeing Avatar. Obviously.
no, she's
You know what I'm saying?
not. She's not. She's not. I feel her on that because like even when the first movie came out, like I wasn't all that impressed. Like I didn't understand why it was this such a monumental, like I get the visual effects, cool, but people were taking it spiritually, bro. They were
Yeah, they
from the
was, yeah.
beginning, bro.
And it
Like
came,
Avatar,
wait a minute, and Reno and Sada, it came out of left field. Like,
yeah,
I was like, huh? I
It
was
was
like,
one
yo,
of
what is
those.
this movie? Avatar. Like, I was like, what is this joint?
everybody
I
was
went and
acting
saw
like
it
it was
just,
the second
I
coming of
went and saw it
Christ.
because I went and saw it because everybody talked about it so bad. I said, let me go see Avatar. Went and saw it. I was like,
Well,
it was all right.
well,
I mean, it
well,
wasn't what
Marvel.
everybody thought it was, like they were picturing it, but I was like, it was
That's
good.
not exactly, but it was good. It was really good. It was really cool.
Like, you
And
had
like I
people that
said,
wanted to be Navi.
it's the poke. Yeah, and there you go. But it's the Pocahontas story told again, but it's so you can't go wrong. But what I was gonna say was Marvel actually did it faster. Having taken 13 days to reach the coveted threshold, the awe-inspiring return to Pandora is tied with Jurassic World for the fifth quickest race to
Dang.
the 10-figure billion
Wow.
dollar, but that still puts it behind Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, and Spider-Man No Way Home.
That I
Uh,
understand.
But,
That I understand.
Reno, here's the craziest thing of all. Regardless of how much money all of those movies made, the most successful movie out of all of them, all the Marvel movies, is Black Panther, the first Black Panther movie, and that's
Endgame.
the movie, I'm talking about success, not money, success. When people talk about they want their movies to succeed, they want Black Panther success. James Gunn keeps saying he wants Black Panther success with the DCU.
Oh yeah,
And
he
so
wants that
like
impact.
he
Yeah, he
wants
wants
right
cultural
because
impact.
Black Panther, right?
That's
Black
cultural
Panther,
impact, not success.
not really. I mean, the cultural impact is
Well, no,
there,
I think
but
it
the
could play
success of the
off each
movie,
other.
because
Yeah.
Black Panther, you got to think about Black Panther. Black Panther's like Blade. He's a character in the Marvel comics that everybody don't know about. He's not the
Right,
face of Marvel. He's not the
right.
face of Marvel. He's one of the lesser known comics that
Hmm.
did really well at the box office.
Right.
That did so well at the box office that it's a complete success. So you have no lore to like with Superman. Everybody knows Superman's story. I don't give a damn if you never saw a Superman movie in your life. You know Superman's story. You know Batman's story. I don't give a damn if you never saw a Batman movie. But Black Panther, nobody knew Black Panther's story. Nobody knew his
Right.
lore. Nobody knew his 5 tribes in Wakanda, and they all wore different colors. And the whole lore, they brought that to life. And that's
Yeah.
what they mean about Black Panther's success. I want to be
Mhm.
able to take, I want to be able to take, let's say, Wonder Girl and put Wonder Girl on a big screen and bring Wonder Girl to life to where everybody want to be Wonder Girl
Yep.
and
And
they can
then
get that. And they feel
bring the
that's
mascara.
success.
Buy it too.
Right.
That,
That's
yeah.
success.
That'll be
That's
a
the
whole thing.
success
Mm-hmm.
that they want because money wise,
Right,
you're gonna make the money, you're gonna make the money. But the
right.
success of the film, that's the thing. Like Titanic was it I don't know what everybody was so big about. It made a lot of money. People just I couldn't
Huge.
tell you now. I couldn't tell you now.
Like
It
the
was
biggest
huge.
at the time, it was the
Right.
biggest movie, the
Well, thank you.
highest make.
But
Yeah,
if you
but
bought out
people
a
ain't still
sequel,
talking about it.
thank you. But people still talking about Black Panther
Black Panther.
to this
So it's
day.
like, yeah,
And
cultural impact,
If Chad
societal
Bozeman
impact.
would have never died, it would have been huger on the second run than it was on the first one.
Yeah.
It'd have been way. And I have literally read the original screenplay for Black Panther 2. And I'm gonna tell you now, here inside you can put the stamp on it. Even though I liked it, Wakanda Forever, the new Black, the sec, way better. Way better. Put the stamp down. Bang.
Way better.
Way better. The script I read, listen, bro.
I saw a video on it too.
Yeah. And I saw a video on it and I read it. It was way better. It was deep. Bro,
wait, what is
deep?
You talking about if Chadwick would have lived?
Yeah, they had
Chadwick would have lived. They had the original script.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the screenplay. And
Namor was
dope.
still in it, right?
Namor was still in it. He was still in it. But it played out differently than it did. Like the way it played out, basically, in a nutshell, T'Challa had to fight with the repercussions that he had about telling people, instead of doing what his father said, and just keeping it a secret, he saw the repercussions that it had about telling everybody and how much more he had to protect once he had a son, because he had remember in the first Black Man, he had no kids. So he didn't give a damn. He was like, well, tell people. You can tell the people about the vibranium. It does not make any difference to us.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he got a son and everybody's coming for Wakanda's neck. So now I got to protect my son, his mother, my mom, my sister. And that was his father's job. And then now he's like, damn, now I got to do all of this.
He wanted to share the vibranium, but now, find that shit, Norrat.
You got to find that Norrat. It was dope. And so that was the nutshell. And then Namor presented him with like, look, like I'm telling you now, like everything Namor did in this movie, like he was like, look, I'm just here to protect my people. But Namor was more on the extreme side. Then, because like he thought his father was extreme for what he did, but then when he saw how Namor played,
Namor was like, we got vibranium too, and we are not sharing. So y'all need to stop sharing. Now, they find y'all's, they gonna find ours, and
that was the whole plot. And they mixed that in with everything he did in the last movie, everything that went down in the last movie. And it all made sense, bro. Like it was good. I was like, yo, I wish they would have bought this. They should have just recast it and bought this out. I don't give a damn. It would have been bomb, bro.
December 28th, 2022, 8:27 p.m. Stamp
it. Put the stamp.
Yes.
Stamp. Bro, you gotta listen. You gotta watch the video, Nora. Rad, you gotta watch the video. You gotta read the articles. I thoroughly.
But it's funny that James Cameron is like shitting on the MCU every chance he gets, and
that's jealousy, man.
It's
just jealousy.
His pride is because it's jealousy, man. Because he was that guy. Like Avatar was that thing, and then the MCU
was that thing. Yeah, MCU Avatar. Popped out. Yeah,
dwarfed it.
Listen, remember what I said before, Reno? It's FOMO. Fear of missing out. Just bring out your stuff and see if the people like it or not.
Yeah.
If you miss out,
the crazy thing is, it's like he shouldn't even be jealous now because people are still interested in his stuff. Like his movie just cracked $1 billion. Like, what is there for you to be, throwing shade for?
Remember what I said earlier, Sada. I don't care how much money a movie makes. It's still about success.
Sure.
So you could crack the $1 billion mark. Most people, he's thinking in his head right now that I cracked the $1 billion mark because people wanted to see if this was as good as the other one, and it really ain't now right now. But can I go up against a Marvel movie? Can I release Avatar in the same month as a Marvel or Star Wars movie and not lose money? And that's what he's saying. Is this movie successful? Right? Is this movie successful, or is it just can't? Or I just put it out at the right time?
Yeah, in the right time. Because if this was in the midst of like phase 3 or something, he'd be in trouble. But
this competition now, I mean, they buried that Babylon film that came out. Yeah, that was really their only competition, and that Babylon made like
wait a minute.
$4
million.
Tell
you another. Wait a minute, I'm gonna tell you another good movie I watched the other night. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I gotta put this out there. I mean, damn what nobody say. I watched Emancipation. The other day.
I seen it, bro.
Emancipation's good.
I seen it.
Emancipation's good.
What?
You gotta put stamp on the side.
Wow, he said it was good.
Bang.
Oh my
God. Bro. I don't really do slave movies. I really don't care for slave movies and shit and rehashing shit because of shit. But man, you know why I watched it? You know why I wanted to see it really bad? Because I knew that image. I knew that picture. of the guy, sitting there like that with the scars on his back. That's a real guy, and the movie Emancipation is about that real guy's life. So it's
Right.
like a
It
true
is.
story, and it's a
It
very
is.
famous image that I think I mean, if you do any kind of video editing, or if you're ever Googling images, or you've seen this image, it's a very famous image. It's a guy sitting in a chair in a blank white room, and you just see he's just looking back over his shoulder, and his back is just covered in just like keloid scars, and and so you wonder, like, who was that man, and like, is he still alive? Was he, how long did he live after that photo, and like what happened, and like what's the story behind that? And Will Smith, I guess, felt the same way and wanted to find out, and looked into it and found that image, like, they knew who the guy was, because a lot of times like that you would have no idea who the person was, but they actually
No.
knew his name, they knew everything about the guy, they were able to track down his whole story, and it's crazy. It's
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 like
amazing.
12 Years a Slave. It's like
Yeah.
12 Years a Slave was based on the guy wrote a book about his life, and it was
Right.
based on a real story, and they made it into a movie. Emancipation was good, bro. I can't take nothing
And it was all
away
black and
from
white,
Emancipation. Yeah,
all shot in
it
black and
was
white,
good.
which
Yeah, I
was
saw
All
that.
shot
cool.
black and white. Yeah, it was good, bro.
And I think that the reason that worked so well is because that famous image is black and white. It's like, and I don't even want to say black and white. It's more of like a tone of gray and brown, like, but it's the color of that photograph. They took the colors of that photograph and somehow made the movie that color, whatever that color is. It's like it's an off brownish grayish, but very cool, very well done, man. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was actually a good movie, and I was surprised it
Yes,
was
it was
good.
good. Me and
Like,
you
I was
both.
surprised. I wasn't surprised it was good. I was surprised that it wasn't like mad cliche and just like, okay, another one. It wasn't. It was definitely something unique.
No, it's like Roots good. Like it's
Yeah,
like Roots
it
good.
was good. It
That's
was
how
good.
good
It
it
was good.
was. Like it was deep.
It was deep.
Because they showed the dude's life.
Right.
They show how they sold him, like they split his family up and sold his family away.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes all the way to the Civil War. And like
Oh,
it was yeah, it was just good, man. Like it was I haven't seen a movie that powerful in a long time, to be honest
man.
with you. I'm gonna put it there, and I'm gonna say if you
Cause
haven't
you,
seen
I
it,
know
go
you.
see it.
I know you got to go to work. But that movie actually steered me into a show called it's Octavia Butler. It's Octavia Butler. Well, if you don't know, Octavia Butler is a black woman that's like one of the dopest sci-fi authors of all time, and a lot of her stuff has to do with, slavery or civil rights, things of that nature, but in a sci-fi context. Very, very cool shit. And but this one, the hell is it called? Sada, help me out. You know what I'm talking? It's a new show, and it's about a woman who starts getting transported back to slavery times and on a plantation. And she's a black woman, and she gets transported, like, she's in our time, it's 2022, and she just like walks into, I don't know, like, she gets this new house, and when she's in this new house, she'll like sleepwalk or in the middle of the night, or she'll think she's dreaming, and she'll be transported back in time on this plantation. And so she's on this plantation, like, holy shit, right? Obviously. And then they deal with all that. But then at any time when she fears for her life, she's instantly transported back to 2022. So at
Oh,
one
Don't they
point,
got a show about that now? What's it called?
that's the show I'm talking about.
All right.
That's what I'm
ooh,
talking about. And it's based on this Octavia Butler novel. And she meets this white dude, and in our time, and the white dude comes back to her house, and then she disappears in front of his eyes. He's like, what the fuck? Where'd she go? She comes back. He's there.
oh,
And the next,
Kindred.
Kindred. Thank you.
Kindred.
Yeah.
Yes, Kindred is there.
Kindred. Thank you.
I was like,
Kindred.
oh my god, yes, Kindred. Yes.
Yes. Very cool show. Very good show, I should say. But yeah, Emancipation kind of led me into watching that. That shit is crazy. Because then the white dude that she met, the second time she gets transported back, or third time or whatever, if she's like touching you and she goes back, you'll go with her. And so he goes back with her. And then there's that dynamic of now there's this white dude and this black woman in there on this plantation. Now he's got to tell people she's his slave. Like that's the dynamic they've got to live. It's crazy, bro. And then they go back. But yeah, man, check that shit out, Kindred.
Kindred, I gotta see. I want to see Kindred. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I think it's on Hulu.
Yes,
or anywhere else you want to watch it. But yeah, it's on
definitely
Hulu primarily.
I'm definitely going to see that.
It's
definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good. But yeah, I know Stu, you got to get to work. It's 8:30. Great show, man. It was great coming back. Great to be back.
Woo.
And we'll be back Saturday. So yeah, man. You guys know, man, every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, we will be here 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm back. So regular schedule is back in business. So we'll see you guys Saturday at 6:30. Sada, Stu, it was a pleasure as always.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Peace, peace, peace.
Peace.